What was the idea for Gig when you started doing it?
Alright, what is the idea for Gig? Someone should answer this. Ballarat Gig, get into games. Why are we doing it? That is exactly why we're doing it. So you can learn, there are a heap of opportunities and an industry that you like, so because you can go to school, learn some skills, and get a bloody good job at the end. Does that make sense? Why are we doing Gig? Oh, that's not much of a response. If it's for your future, guys, that's it. You ready, Tim?
Ready.
This is
I'm
Tim
ready.
Best.
I'm ready.
This is a man I've known for a long time.
Before they were born.
This is a man that I think has more knowledge than a lot of people in our industry. Listen to what he's got to say and ask him some good questions at the end. Tim Best, thank you very much.
So, I come from the much more indie side of things. You've just heard from Epic and people who worked at EA. The biggest studio that I've worked for in Melbourne is around 20-ish people. So, I'm at the very much the other end of that scale. And also, thank you very much, Mum, for pointing out that Anna had one of the best talks ever. So, you know, and I'm phone calling Tony, so no pressure. It's all fine. It's good. Who understands game design? Nobody understands game design. But I'm going to give you some of my thoughts from working in the field for 10 years. And I've subtitled this talk Telescope Microscope because one of the things as a games designer you always look at is long view and then get into the microscopic details. So in my current work at Optimus, I had to come up with a sentence to encapsulate the entire game. That was something I did one day. On Thursday, I was changing a value in Unity from 0.03 to 0.04 to make a candle flicker so it didn't look like it was a nightclub. You know, it's wide view, very narrow view, and you've got to always jump back and forth. And my talk does that. So, this is me. I'm Timothy Best. I got a degree in journalism. My first job, or big job, was at a games magazine called Australian PC Gamer. Then I moved into game development about 10 years ago, and I've worked for a bunch of good people. And right now I'm at a studio called Optimus. They were nice enough to have my name in the middle of their company name, so everything worked out. Here are some of the games that I worked on. Has anyone played Shooty Skies? Yeah. That was me. Weird bosses. Disco Beard was one of my favourite. A pirate with a sort of hypercolour beard. This one's Breath of Light, and the final one is a game that was one of my, that I pitched and really loved, but never made it out. As Tony was saying, my talk touches on failure. There will be failure. Alright, so the very quick overview of what game design is. It's the act of deciding, really. And Jesse Schell is one of the best, he's written one of the best known game design books, The Art of Game Design. And yeah, you should check it out if you're interested. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in there. And one of the things he's really big on is, yeah, everyone can be a game designer. There's no barrier. You know, you have to get in there, make something, try it, see what works, see what doesn't work. That's how you get to be a game designer. Here's a bit of the sort of, one of the few things that we know actually works about game design. It is looking at building a product so that you can play it. Because the only way you can test out an idea is to play it. If it's in your head, it's not a good game design. You've got to build it, whether it's on paper or whatever. So this sort of points out that, you know, in the top row, you see a car, you have a perfect car wheel, you've got your Ferrari wheel, and then you build another wheel, and then you build the body. But the problem with that is, you can't drive that car. You can't do anything with the car until it's done. And then you'll probably have some weird homomobile which doesn't actually do anything, because you haven't been able to test it. You haven't been able to see what it's actually like on the road. In the second one, you start with the skateboard. You can feel what the wheels feel like on the concrete. You can feel how it is to move and control it. It's not what you finally want, but it lets you test it, it lets you experiment with it. So that's generally the way, and it's all about iteration loops. You build it, you test it, you see where it really sucks, and then you make it better. And that's kind of one of the ways we control the chaos in game development. Game design is not this. People will come in and say, I've got a game where you're the Ghostbusters, but everyone's a panda game and it's set in 1942. And then they say, pay me $1 million and you can make that idea. And it's like, that's not game design. You can't throw an idea grenade and run away. No, you gotta do it, you gotta test it, you gotta be involved. And, So this is me just liking Giphy because, of course I do. In game design, you have amazing conversations like, what is the rate of fire of a unicorn horn? How much damage / joy does a unicorn horn create? When you die from a unicorn horn blast, do you turn into glitter? It's all amazing stuff. Here, we talk about what is the turning circle of a goat? What happens when two goats interact? How do you get comedy? What are you trying to say? What is the tone of the game? These are all game design questions, and they're all things that you need to test. Alright, for me, it has been all sorts of weird stuff. It has been figuring out how to play a cricket game with a single finger. It's been making up 100 baseball players, their stats, their stories. Trying to figure out how do you control the Zen garden. Obviously, you use floating rock handles. It's, I know, no-brainer. What is the sound of a rainbow vomit? We're getting back to shooty skies here. It's also things like, how many gold tickets does a gold badger gun cost? I made a fairy tale shopping mall out of puns. Check out Charming Keep, it is ridiculous. I have, in my game Leaves, you end up fighting your ghost dad, because of course you do. I've written comic panels, like on the far side there, you get to see some of Leonie Yu's work, and that was a marketing thing for our Super Cute update, and that is the one where you fight Fluffy Bunny, the rainbow vomiting rabbit, who also kills you with hearts. These are some of the things that I have done in my game design career. So that's the sort of telescope view. In the microscope view, here's a game that I worked on called Spin Fast Snowboard. Selma Sakala, because we've got a big name exports person to help us, presents Spin Fast Snowboard. And on this game, because I was in an indie studio, I did things like, I drew those buttons in a vector program. I organised the screens. I wrote the text. I created the UI and figured out how you move between different grabs on a snowboard with one hand, two hand, how you spin, how the points work for the spin, whether it's good to have an exponential function while you're spinning through the air grabbing for points. And yes, it is, as long as the exponential function is very small, because otherwise you get 1 trillion points if you do a good trick. That's not so good. But it's all in those tiny details and big details. It's all telescope, microscope. The other really interesting thing about this is it wasn't a sim game, but snowboards are not like skateboards. So I had to understand the physics of snowboarding. So when you snowboard, you actually melt a layer of water under the board, and that's what you ride on. So you're basically floating. And you would just float around if you don't catch an edge, which is when you dig the edge of the snowboard in. So that's why they carve like this, because otherwise you just aquaplane around. And understanding the physics of that let me change a game that felt like being on a hoverboard to being on snow and, feeling like you feel the wind in your hair. This is Breath of Light. This was a meditative puzzle game, and it is very abstract and slow and beautiful, and you have to let the energy flow sort of resolve through all of these magical fields created by the rocks. And if you try to rush it, the energy flow just goes everywhere. So it's like, no, you will chill out. If you are an A-type personality who wants to win the game as quickly as possible, you will lose the game. So that was really cool, and that's very deliberate, because we wanted that game to do that. So you look at every mechanic and how it tells a story. And before it was this, it was going to be Feng Shui Master, where Feng Shui was your martial art. So you would arrange furniture to fight people. Wasn't really appropriate. Wasn't really in the keeping of Feng Shui. But I learned that doing all the research. We moved from Feng Shui to Zen Gardens, which meant I switched from Chinese culture to Japanese culture. And we did little things like, it's broken up by seasons. This is our summer season, because the haikus, which are a part of that feel and the feel we want to capture, were all about seasons. So there's a lot of cultural studies, and it's how do the mechanics tell the story? What do you want the players to feel? These are some of the sort of questions and jobs you get. So I've gone from hard science to philosophical and religious questions. Finally, we get to Shooty Skies, which has neither hard science nor philosophical questions. It has you fighting cat bosses, firing sharks with freaking lasers. It has rainbow trails. This, in the middle, is a hot cross bun pilot flying with a robot sidekick. Because that's how we roll. Shooty Skies is out, downloaded, prepared just to be infused with colour and rainbow vomit. But it's something, even in this game though, it's very silly, but it's also very technical. I set up attack patterns for basically hundreds of bosses. We had a spreadsheet where every boss had hit points, the splines they moved in on, and making something feel good is a difference of 1 decimal place in, in the attack rate, or all of these things. So as a games designer, you'll figure out that you want to have a boss firing sharks with freaking lasers, but you'll also sit there tuning to the within an inch of the flight hundreds of variables, and you'll spend a lot of time in spreadsheets doing that. In fact, you will beg for spreadsheets, because otherwise game developers will just say, this is an object in the game, it's a file, and it has a bunch of things. Go and find every file in the game and change it manually, and you will just die. Yes, you have a question?
The middle one looks like it's crossing road.
Yeah, that's totally fair. 2 of the directors of our company actually made Crossy Road. So when we made this, Matt Hall and Andy Sum were directors of the company, and we ended up maintaining Crossy Road, and we were co-developers on Disney Crossy Road as well. So it was, yeah, I have a character. Yeah, well, you can unlock me because I'm in the credits, so there is a Tim character in Disney Crossy Road. But I didn't do a lot of that. I didn't do a lot of work on that one, so I wasn't going to name drop, but thank you for helping me name drop Matt Hall's game. And Matt Hall now lives around here, he's a local. But yeah, that was a very deliberate art choice by us, that we wanted to have something in that feeling of Crossy Road. Yeah. So, I just want to sort of point out that even in those few games that I just talked about, these are some of the fields of sub-study that I sort of engaged in and which were really helpful for me. So, game design lets you do so many things, and anything that you can bring to game design will make it better. It will make it richer. So, study anything but learn to study. You will never know what you need to know as a game designer, from physics to Asian culture to understanding about poetry, to be able to tell a story. Writing is so good, even if it is just making the text make sense, making the story make sense, but just having a story which is told in pictures. Like Shooty Skies is absolute internet meme as a cartoon, just nonsense. But for me, I had a little story in my head, like one of the characters opens Panda Adorable's box, and all of this sort of nonsense flies out, and you've got to try to put it back in the box. And Shooty Cat is the sort of one to do that. And it just gives a consistent flavour, and that's really important. It makes a difference between a game where you're like, oh, I kind of get it, to a game that feels really good and makes you want to keep playing. And I know, I started playing Into the Gungeon not long ago, and it's a silly game. You go into a dungeon, it's a gungeon full of guns, but they have this really nice story that you have regrets, and you're trying to find a gun that can kill the past. And I'm like, wow, I don't really want to be sad in this game, but that seems like a pretty good motivation to go into this silly dungeon. And then at the end, if you die, it's like, the past still haunts you. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to be haunted by the past, I want to beat this game. So those things can make all of the difference. So yeah, learn how to learn. Use everything that you have, all the things that you love, to make a game that no one else can make. That'll make it special. You know, yeah, seek to be more and learn more. Use games as an excuse to, you know, deep dive into the physics of snowboarding, or wind resistance, or Asian culture, or myths, or legends. You know, always be learning. You know, take it as an opportunity to watch a movie that you might not watch, because it's interesting the way they do things. You know, games design is, yeah, amazing, so it helps equip you for a whole lot of other things, but a whole lot of other study fields really are useful in game design. I know one of the game designers I know has a marine biology degree. You know, there are other people who have performance arts degrees. You know, it's all good and it's all useful. And you'll notice in those fields of study, I don't have game design courses, because they touch on everything. And it's all there. And one of the good things about a games design course is you'll come out with a game that you can show people. But I don't think, you know, when we're hiring game designers, we're not too worried about your degree. We're worried about what you can show us that you can create. We want to see a game that you've made, even if it's on paper. Even if you can just talk to us about what's cool about it, what makes you passionate. So, here's my 7 things that you didn't know about game design. Some of them are, well, they're pretty much all weird. Maybe profound, mainly weird. Alright, games designers never know exactly what they're doing, because if you know what you're doing, that means that you've made this game before. If you can't play the game and feel it and see what it's like, then you don't really know if it's a good idea. So, like art, game design is terrifying, because it's always a constant act of faith. You're like, this will be great. No, I promise you. And then you get it in and it is great. But then you know that you've got to add another 3 things, which might make it less great. And one of the ways we deal with that terror is that iterative design. We build it, we get the smallest version of it, we play it, go, thank goodness that is great. So in Chewy Skies, I made a daily mission system, I made tables, I made abilities, I made enemy lists, and it just rolls all of this stuff and produces a mission. And you don't know if any of that's going to be good or great until it's in the game and you're playing it. And thankfully, that was one of those things where I pretty much did it first time and it all worked. And that's one of those things like, don't touch anything, just walk away, walk away. There is no regular way. Game development is really super weird in that we're getting more mature, we have these massive studios, we have game engines which tell us a way of doing things. But, you know, with movies, if you write a movie script, they say, here's how you write a movie script because it makes sense. If you're a game developer or a game designer writing a script for a game, it's like, nobody knows, write it on the back of a napkin, do it in interpretive dance. Some people write it like a film script, but then you don't get the sort of action elements and the options. For me, I actually found that the closest thing is if you've ever played a pen and paper role-playing game like D&D or Pathfinder or any of those, it's like writing a module for that. You need the characters, you need the possible actions, you need the outcomes. And that's the closest thing. If you're really lucky, you draw little pictures because, you know, it's anything you can do to communicate that idea. And the other thing is, you don't want a regular way for game design, because if you're in a 6-person studio, you've got amazing talent there that no one else... Am I too close? Is that what... You've got, yeah, amazing talent that no other studio has, and you can't make another screen just as well. You can't make a game as well as other studios, but other studios can't make a game as well as your game because, yeah, you build it around the talent and the team. Alright, here's something I probably shouldn't say, it would make you feel bad or good, but near enough is good enough 75% of the time. Like polishing something to perfection is pointless because players don't know what you didn't put in the game, you know, but the little star at the end is 15% of your stuff has to be really good. And 10% of your stuff has to be pure magic, because otherwise you're competing with everything else. But not everything has to be magic, but just that one thing that feels really good, so that when players think, I could be doing this, or I could be doing that, that 10% can make the difference of choosing your game. What you leave out is what makes your game. Describing game mechanics is weirdly hard. That goes back to drawing pictures. Does anyone want to have a quick challenge? Does anyone want to try to describe to me how to play rocks, paper, scissors? You're keen, talk to you. Up the back. All right, let's stand up. Let's play rock, paper, scissors the way you described it. Ready? Go. Oh, actually. I'm choosing rock. It's really hard because to really describe a word of game mechanic, you have to do things like, you will make the rock gesture with your hand. A closed fist is a rock. Extending 2 fingers represents scissors. Opening your hand is paper. 2 players have to stand facing each other and shake in time at roughly 80 beats per minute. 1 and count. 1, 2, 3, reveal. The game will be the best 3 out of 5 things. And just giving that detail because game programmers who make this real are like genies. Some genies are good and will just do what they think you want. Some genies will code your typos and make you regret every game design decision you make. It's really hard and it's a skill that you should learn and practice, and building your own games and making prototypes is really good. Alright, the question almost always, whatever you are asking, whatever you need to know, the question is almost always, what does the player feel? Followed by, why is that important? Good games are felt. You know, ideas can be cold and a bit sterile, but what you need to make a game connect to people is feelings. You want that electricity down the spine. You want people to feel the texture. You want them to feel smell the spices in the air as you walk through the bazaar. You want that cold adrenaline rush when something jumps out. You want that thrill. Games are about making people feel something. So you've got to ask, what is the feel and why do we want people to feel that way? Because it all needs to, that's the microscope, telescope. What is this tiny thing you're doing now contributing to the overall game and why are you building it that way? Tutorials will plague your nightmares. People don't understand how hard they are. We drew a tutorial of how to do a batting thing, and we had a circle, and then we had an arrow, and you were meant to do a cricket swing based on this circle, and a line and a dot following the circle to the arrow. And the very first person I got to test it put their finger up on the arrow, went against the dot, back to the circle, and we just looked at it, and we just went, I'm out. This game thing is not for me. But the other thing is, tutorials, people want to leave them to the end as well because they don't want to redo them because they're like, well, we're not even teaching the proper game. But then how do you get people to test your game to see if it's good? If you can't hand someone their game and they can't play it, then, you don't know right until the end. And we talked to someone who was making a digital board game and they were like, do you want to play it? I'll have to sit there and talk you through it. And only people in the studio who've worked on it for a year know how to play. And you're just like, how do you know your game's good? How do you know people will be able to understand it? How do you show people this is... And also, tutorials are really hard. And I was talking to Anna about it, and they will dump a tutorial. They're like, here's an amazing system with 42 parts, and you can do all this. And then they'll hand it off to the UX person and say, make a tutorial, you've got a week, you've got to ship. And they're like, why do you hate us so much? So, yeah, tutorials will haunt you. Make games, make tutorials, just embrace the panic. And, you'll have weird fever dreams about it. So this is one hand goes like gold, on the other hand it's painful, agonizing failure. As I said, you iterate, you find what sucks, and then you keep sucking until you run out of suck, and then the thing is okay. And one of the hard things about game dev is that game developers will get to a stage where something vaguely works, and they'll go, holy cow, that was so hard to make it work, it's got to be good enough. And game developers will be like, game players will go, yeah, that's okay. And then again, you want to burn the well. But you also have to understand that game players only see the final thing, and they need something which is really good, that 10% of magic. But yeah, you have to work through the suck, and you will learn to fail, you will learn to learn from failing, and it'll be great for you. So, that is me, that is my talk.
Told you it was going to be goody. Tim Best. We're going to do questions and answers on Tim Best and the design, and we'll tie it in with the art and the Unreal Engine on the panels a bit later. So firstly, thank you to Tim Best. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tim Best. Okay guys, this is one of the really good stories. There's a little local company, Dark Shadow Studios. Casey Thomas, she came to gig. Thought, this is cool, I'll make games. Casey Thomas come up and say, this is one of your local developers that's doing really, really well, guys. We're really proud of Casey. Welcome her to the stage, please.
Hi guys, it's nice to see so many faces. I can see a few in the crowd. Well, my name is Casey Thomas, and I have my own startup company called Dark Shadow Studios, and we specialise in building things for virtual reality, drone racing, and esports. So a few years ago, I started playing. Well, I was always a gamer. Started off with the very first Nintendo, and I thought, you know what, games are really, really cool. And I actually went to. It was a Sebas back in the day, but I can see you guys here from Phoenix, so I actually went to your school. Yes, so representing Ballarat. And then I was playing Darksiders. I don't know if anyone has ever played Darksiders. Yes, cool. And I was thinking, you know what, this is so much fun. How do you actually go from being the player to actually building a game? And at the time, I had no idea how to build games or anything like that. I tried hairdressing, I tried tattooing, I tried massage therapy, dentistry, you name it, I have probably at least tried it. So if you think, you wake up one day and you just decide that you're going to be a gamer and that's just what you're going to do, awesome. I didn't start this until 4 years ago now. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and do something different. My parents still don't know what I do exactly. They're like, cool, you do things with games, proud of you, help me load something on Facebook. So that's how in tech they were. So in my family, we're not very tech savvy, except for myself. And I thought, you know what, just gonna try something new. So I studied online through the Academy of Interactive Entertainment, which was an online course through Canberra. And I did game design. So game design covered everything from programming to a little bit of arts to a little bit of animations, which gave me a really good big view of some of the main things that you can do inside video games. But as Anna said earlier, there's billions that you could potentially get into. So I decided to take on more of the business side of things. So I was like, cool, I've got a team, I've got a programmer, they can do all my coding, I've got some artists, they can do all my art stuff, and I'll just do the level design and basically take the game in the direction that I thought would be a really cool idea. So to get through to uni, we had to have a unique idea and something that came in with new technology. So virtual reality was just sort of coming around, and I was dabbling in that, and it honestly blew my mind. I also do some programs at the Ballarat Tech School, which some of you have come to my classes, which is awesome, and tried out virtual reality. So if you haven't, in our little booths, I've got some program schedules for you guys to take home and check them out. If you wanted to ever try building things in virtual reality or game design productions, do come and see me, and I'll be more than happy to give you some insights, a bit more about what I do in those classes. But going back to uni, virtual reality was just coming out, and I thought, you know what, this could be really cool, and drone racing was coming out. And I thought, I wonder if you could merge these two worlds together. And at the time, nobody was doing anything like that, so I thought, awesome, that's our game idea, that's how I'm going to get through uni. So originally it was called Drone VR, because I thought, something with drones, and it's in virtual reality, kind of makes sense. And then iterations, failing miserably, getting back up, and trying different things. We decided to call it Drone Legion. So it's been around for a couple of years. We did take a break because after uni, being a uni student, things in life do get in the way, but we just kept on soldiering on. And since then, we've showcased at some of Melbourne's biggest events. So we showcased at the Melbourne Esport Open, the very first event, which was really, really cool. We showcased with the AFL, with the League of Origins Grand Final, and we've also done a little bit of showcasing at GDC. It was just a little app on my phone, like a video, but we still got to show it to some really cool high-level people in the Unreal Engine booth, which was really, really cool. And then from there, you've also got PAX. PAX Australia is the biggest gaming convention here in Victoria. So we showcase there as well, and a really good thing about getting into PAX is there's a special section just for indie developers. So if you guys have a game idea and you want to take it to PAX, Creative Victoria, Film Victoria from Melbourne are really supportive, and they'll actually do subsidies for startups to show their work off, which is really, really handy as well. So from there, we just did a lot of marketing. I've done a few speaking now. So I was at Pivot Summit on the weekend, and I spoke on an entertainment panel about virtual reality and esports. Esports is something that I never thought I'd get into, just like VR. It just kind of happened. So I just kind of went with it. I'm kind of a go with the flow kind of person. So I'm like, okay, cool, we've made a game, and then someone said, oh, this would be a really good big game for esports. It's competitive, it's online, you've got some really cool levels, and I'm like, oh, this might be really cool. Didn't think of it. And then just going to meetups and networking events, something Melbourne does amazingly. They actually host monthly meetups for people who are wanting to get into games, which is something that Ballarat is working on doing as well, which is really exciting. So people can come together, talk about different skills, what they're doing. Startup Ballarat actually doing some really cool stuff in the space. They've had some really cool meetings. They've got a Facebook group actually that you could come along to and just hear about different things and meet some different people, which is really cool. Which is how I met these amazing other startups here in Ballarat. Who would have thought we had so many? Last year when I stood up here, I maybe knew of 2, but now there's about 5 startups here in Ballarat that are emerging back into the industry, which is really exciting. So, I will quickly talk about some esports. Who is familiar with esports? Oh, yes, excellent, my type of crowd. Except you said you weren't huge Fortnite fans. So, hey, it's not esports, not yet. A little while ago, there was an ESL tournament. So those who don't know what ESL is, it stands for the Electronic Sports League, and it is the biggest esports thing ever. They've been around for over a decade. They play games like League of Legends, Call of Duty. They're even starting to do some stuff in the Fortnite scene, Rocket League as well. And I was talking to Nick Van Zee about how he got into esports, and again, he had no idea. There was no guide. There was no script and manual to follow to how to build esports at all. So it started way back when they were doing LAN connections, and Pac-Man was around, and then it just kind of evolved from there. So what myself and the Ballarat Tech School are trying to do is we're trying to create Ballarat's first high school esport league. So if you guys come to our booth, I actually have a little flyer on the 5th of June. We'll be starting to trial some esport tournaments. It will just be for Fortnite at the moment, because again, there is no guideline, so we are creating our own path here. A few years ago when I started at the tech school, there was nothing to do to learn how to do video games in Ballarat. And then Sophia offered me a job, and I was like, you're going to pay me to do something that I love doing? Yes, of course. So there wasn't a pathway for that, but we've created one now. So there is no reason why we can't create our own esport tournaments here. Just by trial and error, failing at things, succeeding at things. We actually held our first one, our first high school one a couple of months ago, and it was a really big success. So we're looking at taking maybe 5 to 10 best Fortnite players from your school. So if you know some mates, about 5 would be great. That you could potentially enter tournaments in and potentially win some really cool stuff at the end of the year. Like, would be really keen to talk to you guys. So that's just something else to think about. Yes, it's Fortnite to start with, but we would eventually move on to making some other games. So just for some fun and just to see how it goes. And just have a little time. Did anyone have any questions? Oh, in the panel? Okay, sorry guys. Sorry. Yes. Okay, so I would love to call up our local dev teams from Ballarat. Yay!
Hello. So, everyone, get into your teams. Pick a spokesperson. But yeah, represent.
So it's pretty amazing how far Ballarat has come in the space of a year. We were, basically up here by ourselves, and now look how many game designers, game developers, and programmers have just come out today. Yes, who wants to go first?
We're selling Lighthouse games. I'm the designer, modeler, and programmer, and we're making an RPG currently.
And did you gig before? Have you been to a gig before, any of you?
Yeah, I've been to about 3 or 4 of them.
Fantastic. So you're on your way. All right. Who's next? Yep.
Hey, I'm Duncan from Bad Games. Myself and Brian, half of our team. I'm the designer. We've recently finished one of our projects. Really excited to have it out. And showcasing a couple of our other games, so feel free to come see us. And I have free codes, so if you want a few games, come see us.
And a gig? Did you?
Yes, we've been to gig quite a few times. And also in the past, when we finished university, we actually went to Ballarat Uni, now Fed Uni. So we got to present by that method, which was really, really good. We got to meet lots of people. It's a break, did some more development, and then we're back again. So say bye to everyone. Cool.
Hi guys, I'm Rob from Lighthouse Studios. We have my wife Nicole and Penny. Nicole does all of the programming, she makes things work, and Manny makes things look awesome. I just sort of do everything else. We have 3 games that we're showcasing here today. We have Get the Hell Out of Here, which is a clickable, just a turn-based RPG. We have Runables, which is released on the Google Play Store, which is a forward-running runner. And we have Fight the Dream, which is what we're currently working on, which is a top-down, dungeon crawler type game. So come in, have a look, have a play, and learn something. In regards to Geek, Nicole and I first came to our first gig last year, and this is basically what springboarded us into starting Cowshaft and just going nuts. And to one thing that resonated with your talk just before is since gig last year, I've had no idea what I'm doing. So
Doing it right.
Yes.
My name's Finn, and between me, Ahmed, and Haley here, we're Snake Hill Games. I think last time I was at Gig, I think it might have been the first one ever. I just graduated from applied computing at what was then Ballarat Uni, is now Federation Uni. And right in a cafe right around the corner, a guy called Ben Palmer gave me my first job at what was then IR Gurus with a couple of the people that you've already heard talking around here. I'm currently also a programming teacher at AA, so if anyone has any questions about studying programming, you can also ask me that and I'll tell you to pay more attention in maths class. That's pretty much it.
So these are some of the people. I'm just confused, that just shot me on tracks. I was just going to say, this is an example of a growing community, and sometimes it's really hard to know who's around you in games because everything can be online. So it's good to see these people and the store of information and go to catch-ups, find the Facebook groups, see everyone working together, get the support, cry about the failures, celebrate the successes. And places like Gig help build this, and the people sitting around you will be the people on stage with you at some stage, the communities you build, the things you learn, the games that you make, the games that you go out today will lead to things like this. So give everyone a very big round of applause.
All right, guys, smile. We'll take a photo. All right, guys. All right, pretend.
When you're ready, 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.